All a little bit harsh on the Sussexes, or are the creators of South Park right to expose the hypocrisy? Joining me now to discuss this is royal biographer, it's Angela Levin. Angela, you and I have spoken at length about Prince Harry's new book, Where, but look, they're not popular on either side of the Atlantic now. Who could have predicted this?
Oh, well, I think it would have come in time. I think people didn't believe it because they thought it's just not true. They've had a hard time, and us in the UK didn't like Meghan because she was of mixed race, and blaming all those things to us. But actually, after the Meghan interview, and then another one, and then the long, enduring 6-hour thing on Netflix when they whined for such a long time, and then the book, Spare, I think they now realise that they're absolutely shocking. And they've decided to show it in a way that can't be legally stopped. And people will laugh at them and made ridicule of their nonsense. The first thing you showed was, they say they want their privacy, and there they are doing endless television. All their PR people are showing them off everywhere. It's the smallest and the largest things. And they're not taking, they want to be, save the world, but they go on planes. There's so many things that this programme shows that it's brilliant, really.
Satire is a wonderful thing, Angela. It is a beautiful way of exposing truths and points in a way that people like you and I maybe are unable to do. And they've hit the absolute nail on the head when it comes to this and exposing the hypocrisy. What I do find interesting, though, is that Meghan and Harry decided to essentially blame a lot of the issues that they've faced here, I would argue of their own making, of course, but that they faced here, on the fact that we're all horrible little racists, certainly in post-Brexit Britain. Well, what are they going to say about America?
Well, I think they're going to be really, really shocked. I mean, they're investigating at the moment about taking the legislation of that. But they can't do that because the First Amendment says you can't do that to a public figure. So they've had it, really. I think Harry will be going to decline with depression, and Meghan will continue to ignore it and just move on. I think we've seen that when things are difficult for her, she just steps back for a bit and then moves on as if nothing's ever happened.
One of the things that this South Park episode alluded to, there was a scene in it where Harry is, or the particular prince in that, was stood next to her and he's talking to her, and he opens her head and realises that there's nothing inside her. And I think the insinuation there is that actually there's something quite vacuous about that character that bore a striking resemblance to Meghan. Your views on that?
Well, it came about on a discussion about what really matters. Is it how people look, is how people do, or actually is it what's going on inside you? Do you have a heart? Do you have empathy? Are you a kind person? And this particular individual, who looks extraordinarily like Harry, opens her mouth, enormous mouth, and looks right in and can see that there's absolutely nothing there. It's totally hollow. I think that is a very, very difficult symptom for them to take.
The wider thing now is, what next for Harry and Meghan? Because they've basically spoken their truths. There's been books, there's been audio books, and thank you, by the way, for bringing up the Netflix documentary. You know me, Angela, I don't like to talk about it. I was in it. I hate it when people bring up the fact that I was in the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary, watched by millions, Netflix's most watched series ever. I don't like to bring it up, but you brought it up, so thank you for that. But what now for them? Because if they are unpopular over here and they're unpopular in America, I mean, where do they go and live? The North Pole?
Well, there was a rumour that they were going to start again in Africa, change their whole way.
Can't alienate another continent.
I don't believe that for a second. But the cartoon actually did show them on their secret world tour, telling everybody not to look at them. And they actually did it with animals, and all the animals ran away. So, I mean, maybe there's a hint that they're going to sort of try and look after animals that were dying. But the other thing is that I think that they've just going to do things for Netflix that are romantic stories. They're not going to blame everybody or talk about themselves. They're going to do romantic stories. I think they will be yuck, but we'll have to wait and see. They've still got to deal with it.
They do. Now, this, I think, is a massive win for the King and for Prince William and everyone associated with him. I would argue for Britain, frankly, because I've had emails in, by the way, just a quick little plug here, gbviews@gbnews.uk. In light of this Harry and Meghan stuff, I want to know from you, our wonderful listeners and viewers, what you think the worst thing about Harry and Meghan is. And this is a good one here from Jeff. He says the worst thing is that both of them believe that they were more important than the institution of the royal family, the monarchy, which has existed for almost 1,000 years. And actually, the royal family now have emerged well this week, because Charles offered the olive branch to Harry. Harry's gone, well, if you want me to come to your coronation, then you're going to have to come over here and talk to me. And everyone's like, mate, have a day off, OK? And then now this South Park thing has come out, and Charles and William can see, I think, that people are laughing at them all over the world, and the power is back with our royals, is it not?
Yes, I think so. But there's also another comment that Harry said that he didn't blame himself for anything that was in the book. He was very proud of it. He was pleased with it. And actually, if that's the truth, it's a real shock, because the things he said in there about himself, about his father and his brother, actually make him someone that you realise will not learn, and you can't help come out of this terrible state that he's in.
Can I just ask you one final question, Angela? And it is a broader question here. It's more about society in general, actually. And I think there's been a lot of self-victimisation. It's almost become a fashion, OK, to try to expose your own flaws and the struggles that you've been through, and to paint yourself out as a victim and seek sympathy and basically say this is why everything's awful. And I've always firmly believed that the vast majority of the public don't like that. The vast majority of the public likes someone who puts their shoulders to the wheel, gets on, and when there are genuine tough times, you know, does their best to try to pick themselves up and not whinge and moan about it. And in Harry's case, I would argue he didn't actually have that much to whinge about to begin with. Do you think this could be a signal now for people to, frankly, stop moaning and start cracking on a bit?
Well, you know, they said that he was an influencer and Meghan was an influencer, but I hope that people don't take that up. I think it will be a very hard journey back. But I think that the Queen was right when she said don't complain and don't explain, because this means you have a stiff upper lip. It doesn't have to be a totally unmovable stiff upper lip, but you have to be a bit courageous. It's the same things how they're stopping nursery rhymes, they're stopping children's stories. Everything's got to be protected because they're all sort of so delicate. Not at all. You have to bring people up with a bit of difficulty and make things hard for them so that they learn to grow and are decent human beings who can cope. You can't cope if you're a victim. You've got to be strong and take things as they come.